Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my crazy cousin, the coach himself of a university that I shall not name, Lance Irvin. What's up, cuz?
You know, I don't need any smoke. I don't need any smoke. You know why we
Just
started this
having a
show.
little fun.
You know, I'm glad you having fun. I'm glad you having fun. Hey Jay, you see me, don't you? I bought the bright yellow out now. You know
Do I
that yellow
see
brings
you?
out.
I can't miss you. Good Lord.
You know, your cousin Paula told me that the yellow brings out my natural color. So, you know, I'm feeling handsome. Like I'm feeling like Daryl Dawkins. Like, you know, like Daryl Dawkins said one time, I was listening to him. He said when he made it to the NBA, he said he went from about a 4 to a 10. He said he came down, he dunked one tie out. He said next thing you know, he running past girls, hey cutie, hey cutie. He's like, who they talking to? He said he got handsome quick. So this yellow makes me feel good.
Well, there you go. Nothing wrong with that. I'm wearing my Black Hawk sweater. You're wearing the yellow one. We are doing it because today is officially the last day of the season for the Blackhawks, as they will not make the playoffs this year. But that's all right. They had a young team. We were kind of expecting that. But our guest tonight is going to be Evan Moore, and he wrote a book about hockey. And Evan and I go way back, so we're going to talk some hockey today on the show. But for those of you who have not joined us before, this is What's Up, Cuz. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching us on our YouTube station, go ahead and like and subscribe to our show. Also, if you're watching us on the SportsZone Chicago app, we appreciate that. And there are 3 places you can get that app if you don't have it already. You can get it from Google Play. You can get it from Amazon. And Lance will tell you can also get it on
the iTunes, baby, iTunes store.
iTunes.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Let's get it, baby. Go ahead and get that out.
I look like Malcolm Subban in gold. Like
you look like Subban?
Subban probably the same size. Probably got him. Yeah. Probably got him by about 15 pounds. I'm probably tougher than Subban.
You got that Subban complexion going on. No, I'll give you Malcolm. I'll give you Malcolm Subban right now. That's cool. I'm good with Malcolm. So, everybody, welcome to the show. Tonight, we got a great show for you. As I mentioned before, we got Evan Moore. He's coming up at 6:30. 6:30. Evan Moore is coming on. We're going to talk about his new book. He got a new book, Ivan. Did you know that? His new book is about basically about black people in hockey, and it's called Game Misconduct. Hockey's toxic culture and how to fix it. But you know, Evan's been in hockey for a very, very, very long time. This is a brother who really knows the sport and knows the ins and outs of the sport. And this is going to be a good conversation. I know he's been working on this book for a long time, and I'm just so proud of him for getting it completed. So Evan's coming on at 6:30, and we're going to talk some hockey with him. He grew up and all that good stuff. He's currently a reporter at the Chicago Sun-Times. So I'm looking forward to that conversation with my guy, Evan Moore. You see, that's him working in Sun-Times. But Evan's coming on, man. So we're going to have a great conversation.
I can't wait for the fans to hear 2 blacks, 2 African-Americans talk hockey. It's like going to be one of the best moments of the show. I can't wait to have them on.
Look at that. There's an old snake. Go back, Ivan. Look at that. That's him in his yellow jersey. And that's me. I was wearing the white one that day.
You know, I only bring my yellow out on special occasions.
On special occasions, okay.
Special occasions. Championship and end of the year. Championship and end of the year.
And lately it's been a lot of end of the year. So that's cool. Well, I'm glad you're going to be doing that. And then, of course, we got our segments on jump ball. We may have our guy Joseph Phillips if he's not. I don't know where Joseph is. You know, it could be, you know, ain't no teams playing tonight. So ain't no telling where Joseph Phillips is. But Joseph might be coming on at 6:15. But if not, you know, we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. And at 7 o'clock, we might have a surprise guest. We ain't going to say no names yet, but we may have a surprise guest. But hey, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Lord, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the sports world over the last few days. And we need to talk about some of this stuff. So you ready to get into some of these topics?
Let's get it, cuz.
All right, let's get into our first topic of the day. Let's start with some good news. How about that? You want to start with some good news?
Let's start off with some good news.
Let's start with some good news.
Good News
Our
Monday.
former guest, a friend of the show, a Chicago native and Olympic hopeful, Shamir Little. Yesterday, out in California, Shamir Little won the 400-meter hurdles and did it in dramatic fashion. She was trailing up until the 8th hurdle. It's 10 hurdles in the 400 meters. She came over that 8th hurdle, and, man, she was coming out of the turn flying down the whole stretch, and ended up winning in the final 5 meters in just dramatic fashion. Shamir Little takes home first place in the 400-meter hurdles, which is now her signature event, man. And she'll be running again. She's prepping for the Olympics. She's got to make the Olympic team at the trials in June out in Eugene, Oregon.
One thing, Jay, when she was on the show, she talked about how hungry she was and how she was training hard. And if you look at her pictures right there, you could tell she's been training. She didn't have an ounce of fat anywhere. But when I listened to her on the show, you could tell she wasn't playing. Like, you know how some people like talking and they don't sound sure of themselves?
Mm-hmm.
She sounded like we say in sports, she was going to get hers this year, right? She talked about how she was training hard, how she was eating right, things that she did during COVID, just having the right mental mindset. And she always liking our posts too. Like, Shamir, I love her, I like her, and she's very fast also. And, you know, I always try to challenge people like, Jay, you want to race? Oh, I'm not challenging her. No.
You get dusted.
No.
Yeah, you know, I think it was fueling a lot of her fire. Shamir, she was number one in that event back in 2016, and she had a hiccup at the Olympic trials. That's the only way I can describe it. She was number one in the world at the time, and she had a hiccup. And that's the thing about, you know, some of these Olympic sports, man. You can have one off day, one slip up, and it costs you, man. It costs you. You can be late by like a 10th of a second and you're in third. So, you know, you had to slip up, and I think that really fueled her hunger. You know, I think the confidence is there, and I think she knows it's her time. So everybody in Chicago is going to be behind our girl Shamir Little, but so happy for her yesterday. She won the event out there in California. I was watching it on NBC and screaming my head off when she came around to pull that sucker out in the last 5 meters. So just very happy for our girl Shamir Little, man.
I'll tell you what, Jay, think about what you said, though. You have one bad day now, and you go from being the top of your event to maybe at a low. But if you keep working, there's always a setup for a come up. So with that being said, we'll see, but I'm definitely pulling for her. She's a good person.
Yeah, without a doubt. So let's go to our next topic. We got to say goodbye. To somebody, also one of the former guests on our show. And you know, I was disappointed to hear this. Our girl, Gabby Williams of the Chicago Sky, formerly of the Chicago Sky, because Gabby has been traded. The news was announced a couple of days ago. Gabby has been traded to the Los Angeles Sparks.
LA Sparks.
For 2 other players. And this is very interesting. And, you know, we had kind of talked about this before we came on with the WNBA, where it does seem like their star players or just really good players seem to get traded a lot. And this one was really weird because she was placed on the suspension list by the Sky. And then they said she was going to compete. She's going to play for the French national team. I think she has dual citizenship in America and France. And she's going to play on the French national team, international team, in hopes that they get to the Olympics. And she wants to get to the Olympics, and she's going to play for Team France. So she is currently training with that team back in France. So she wasn't going to play with the Sky. And so it seems as though she's not going to have a WNBA season anyway. She's on the suspension list, but she will come back next year, and she'll be a member of the Los Angeles Sparks. I don't know how WNBA rules work like this, but we see this a lot where players are with a team and then they leave. I mean, Elena Deladon left not because she didn't like the Sky, but because she wanted to be closer to home in Delaware. So she requested a trade to Washington, and that's where she's been ever since. But just your thoughts on Gabby Williams being traded.
I think you and I both thought Gabby Williams was an integral part of the scout, right? I think she averaged somewhere between 12 to 14 points last year. She had a good size. She was great on the defensive end. Her
Yes.
3-point shot really was starting to take off last year. And I thought she was versatile, which means she could play a couple of positions. But when I was doing the research and reading about her, how she was playing for the French national team, I didn't think they was going to trade her, though. I was shocked. And the suspension, when I was reading, Jay said something like she would have missed most of the year, so they would have took a salary cap hit. So I don't know how much of that is returning to the salary cap hit. But like you and Ivan, we all was talking before the show started, right? It seems like WNBA players, they move around. And I'm like, the only one I think really probably stay with her team, when you trade Candace Parker now, when Candace Parker leaves, and Candace Parker is probably in most people's minds, one of the top 5 players in the WNBA, right? So when Candace Parker leaves, we talked about Swin Cash leaving. We talked about how Elena Deladon left.
Sylvia Fowles.
Cappy Poindexter left for Phoenix team. The only person I can really think of that's maybe been with their franchise since it started is Diana Taurasi, maybe. Other than that,
did Lisa Les, didn't she stay with the Sparks for her?
Lisa stayed with the Sparks.
Yep, Lisa did.
With the Sparks. You know, like so it's been countless players that then trade teams. And we need to figure that out, Jay. Like, are they asking for trades, or is it a 5 and die? We play 5 years, move there. But I remember when it first started, like Cynthia Cooper stayed with her team.
And so did Cheryl Swoop.
See, when it first started, but it seems like lately, like what's his name? Is Skylar Diggins?
Skylar Diggins has been moved around. Yeah,
she's been moved around. So I mean, that's interesting to see why they moving so much like that.
Yeah, especially like I said, the star players. And I remember even Candace Dupree when she was on the Sky. Yeah. When she got drafted, she was a bona fide star player. So I don't know. It's a very different system to WNBA, and I think a lot of it is because just how their season is in the summer. A lot of them are off of playing overseas. I'm not sure if that's the reason why they have a lot of movement, but you definitely don't see a lot of players stay with the team for a long period of time after they were drafted, even if they're really good players. So it's really kind of strange. I'm not really sure how that happens, but it does. So, but best of luck to our friend Gabby. She was very good to us at the show, and she's another one of our followers on Twitter. So I'm gonna miss Spooky Jean, but I wish her. I miss her. I'm gonna miss her, but I wish her the absolute best of luck, and I hope she does well with Team France, and that they do well in the Olympics. It'll be good to see her during the Olympics. Next topic, let's talk some baseball. And let's make Ivan happy. Let's make Ivan happy.
Come on, Ivan. Come on,
the
Ivan.
Cubs
Ivan
are no longer in last place. They climbed out of the Sutherlands.
They went to third place quick.
Last time this week, they were in dead last. Now they're in third place, only 3.5 games behind. I think the Brewers are still in first, but I'm going to take credit for this one, too, because we had Walter Bond on the show last week, Lance. And we asked him, the motivational speaker, what is he going to take? Well, what do you have to say to your Cubs? He said they need to get out of last place. And apparently that was enough because the Cubs have gotten out of last place.
Hey, Walt, way to speak that into existence, Walt. But Ivan, I have to ask you a question. So how did your Cubs get out of last place? They started hitting singles? Was they stop trying to hit homers? Did the singles help, or is it the pitching? Talk to me about that.
I feel like it was an anomaly. I mean, nobody thought they were going to go ahead and sweep the Dodgers like they did. I'll say this. I think that I think it's a combination of things. Their pitching's kind of it's holding its own. Their hitting is starting to stack runs and hits together, which is a good thing. Like, that's the consistency I want. But I think it's just a little too jumbled up right now to say, oh yeah, they're starting to hit their stretch. I mean, they had a good run, but I mean, look, I like going back and looking at the team as a whole and their consistency. I want to see it for a little bit longer, because what we've seen for the past couple of years, and Jason knows, is it's been hit or miss. It's been really wishy-washy. So if they continue this, maybe for the next couple months. And I'm not talking about winning all the time. I'm just talking about consistently winning series. I feel like the Cubs might be in a good spot, a better spot than I thought last week. I'll say that.
What's your thoughts, Jay? I think I want to add this a little bit, Jay. Like they have 14 hits in 2 games. And I remember you and somebody else, was it Joseph? Might have been Stating dropping Joseph, was saying they always trying to hit homers. So do you think like the little singles, and they second in the league in stolen bases? So now when you advancing that running, Jay, you used to play.
Well, I think one thing really helped them that a lot of people may be looking past is that they had that little dust up in Cincinnati last week
when Garrett was about to whoop the whole team.
When Garrett was threatening to beat up Javi, and Javi gave him the middle finger, and the benches cleared and all that. I think that helped the Cubs. I think it kind of fired them up. In baseball, sometimes those things will light a fire under you because it's such a long season. You can fall into this like, I don't know how to say it. They're not putting worth the effort, but sometimes you need something to really get you more motivated and focused and to bond the team. And nothing bonds a team or breaks it apart like a team fight, and the fact that they were out there all standing up for each other against Garrett, I think that kind of did something to them because they whooped the Dodgers behind. I was not expecting to see that at all, but they took 3 games from the Dodgers and 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh, lost by 1 run yesterday, would have swept the Pirates. But it was good to see that, man. I want to see both teams in Chicago do well this year. I want to be able to say in my lifetime I saw the Cubs and Sox play each other in the World Series. And, if they both get there, then fine, have at it. And we can all be meatball fans again and talk a bunch of crap. And, the city is going to be a civil war. But, it would be hilarious and just fun to be a part of that. So very happy to see the Cubs, getting a little bit better pitching. But I think the key to that team is, man, they got to hit. And they got to hit consistently.
Jay, like just like you saying, I think the hitting is better because we were saying it was either feast or famine, right? But I think when you could get on and you playing an aggressive style of baseball, when you can take an extra base here or there, now you have runners in scoring position and it's easier to advance. If you got somebody on second, Jay, with no outs, now you could do a little bit more. You could do some stuff. But I also, Jay, you didn't tell me about this. You didn't tell me Rossi's girlfriend was on like Chicago PD or Chicago Fire or something. Now, maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe he's feeling good about himself and he's able to let's go. I mean, I don't know, Jay. I'm disappointed in you because nothing gets past my cousin. And you let that one get past you.
Well, I'm not in everybody's, sex life. He date who he date. I don't
time out.
I mean, I heard, I don't watch that show, but I have heard of the young lady who's an actress who he is dating, and she is on, I think she's on Chicago PD, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
She's either on Chicago PD or Chicago Fire, but yeah, it was a big story in the paper that she is dating David Ross, the manager of the Cubs.
It's actually Chicago Med. I know there's like 18 Chicago shows.
Like 30 shows.
Chicago Postal. You know what I mean? The Chicago
Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Hood. But Jay, you normally don't miss stuff like that.
Well, again,
I'm just a regular journalist now.
Yeah, I don't. That's one thing I've never really covered though. Is the who's messing around with who stuff, because I just don't consider it journalism. I consider it more of gossiping.
Okay, so
don't get me wrong. though. It is good to know as a journalist, to know the connections and know kind of the subject matter, people, public figures, and all that good stuff. But I really don't get into it. Well, first of all, half of them don't last longer than 3 weeks. So why I'm getting caught up in that. So and they date who they date, but I thought that was a very interesting story to find out that there she is. There she is. She is a pretty young lady, and she's on Chicago Med. Is that's why?
He said Chicago Med.
Okay, well, David got a big smile on his face, so apparently he's happy. So,
hey, David, to be honest, David keeps this, and good for him because I thought David was like World Series time. David, you were married with kids, if I can recall. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
He has 3 kids. No, he has 3 kids. No, you're right.
See, and this is exactly why I don't cover this stuff.
See,
y'all
Jay,
already,
like
y'all
I said,
bring it up. Wasn't he married with kids?
like I said about Daryl Dawkins. Look.
Me and Lance just said our own TMZ.
Yeah, exactly. I said, hey Jay, I will leave you all the journalistic type stuff. I get into the gossip, baby. I get into the gossip. I found my niche. I found it. So now I'm gonna let you do what you do. I'm gonna do what you do.
Well, congratulations to David Ross and his girlfriend. I hope they're happy together and may it get him more wins with the Cubs. I'm sure Cubs fans will take whatever is working, and I ain't mad at him. So go ahead and take that.
5 in a row for the Cubs or something like that?
Yeah, well, 5 out of his last 6 for sure.
5 out of 6.
They lost
Keep
yesterday.
Going.
So, yep.
Keep
Keep going. So let's talk about another team in town. The White Sox went to Kansas City and just beat the daylights out of the Royals over the weekend. Beat them, shut them out 3-0 on Friday night. Saturday, they beat them 9-1 after they scored 8 runs in the first inning. So I got to spend time with my wife after the second, and I was like, baby, this game over. What you want to do?
Hey, Jay, I'll tell you what, Jay. What's up with your guy, T.A. and Mercedes? What's up with those guys? They really hitting that ball, Jay.
You know, T.A. has said that he believes he's the best hitter in baseball. And at this point, it's kind of hard to argue against him because he's going out there putting in work every night, man. He's putting in work every night. And, you know, our guy Mercedes, man, this dude, I think he's like my wife's favorite player now because she's like, see, I told you, people were judging him on his body type. And I know I was. I was like, who's this roly-poly dude we got? But Yermin is just mashing the ball, man. And he's doing the thing that you as a coach I know can really appreciate. He's taking advantage of the opportunity that was given to him.
And you know, Jay, we always saying next man up and be ready. His number was called, and he's doing it. Like I said, and they didn't really have a scouting report on him, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes that's good too. They don't know, but now they do, and he's still hitting the ball. He's playing at an elite level, and we needed him to do that, right? So, man, shout out to him. Like I said, 73. I thought I was looking at Cecil Field there first one. I was like, who is that? The reincarnation of Cecil, no offense, Kirby Puckett or something like that. You know, Kirby had that type body type. And they both get hit. So I'm like, let me see what old 73 gonna do. And I was watching them, and I heard you talking about him on the show like a couple of months ago. I'm like, okay, let me start paying attention to this young fella. And he's been paying off dividends too.
Yeah, I mean, Yermin he's out there mashing the ball, man. He is out there mashing the ball, and they haven't figured out a way to pitch this guy to get him out. When he gets the 2 strikes, he chokes up on the back like I did back in Little League and just tries to make contact. And so what they try to do is start throwing them sliders and fastball away on 2 strikes. And so he was like, okay, fine. So now he just lines the ball in the right center field for a base hit, you know, and that to me is a sign of a guy who's really a pure hitter. So he's definitely been a surprise. And you know, I'm going to say this. And Sean thought I was crazy when I said this on Sean and Maya. I like, Eloy go mess around and get Wally pipped. He going to get Wally pipped. And for those of you who don't know who Wally Pipp is, Wally Pipp was the starting outfielder for the New York Yankees. He got hit, and Lou Gehrig subbed in for him. And that was the last we heard of Wally Pipp.
Jay, I got a couple questions. I'm going to ask you that before I do that. You really think that, Jay?
Here's the thing. Eloy, I love the dude. But he's been hurt every year. He's been hurt every year. Now, don't get me wrong. The White Sox are not doing themselves any favors by sticking him in left field. He shouldn't be out there. He's a DH. But he putting himself in a position, man. Right now, Yermin is putting up the numbers similar to what Eloy would if he's here. He better be careful. He better be careful, man. That's all I'm going to say. Because someone come in, he jumping in the nets and like he a damn salmon swimming upstream and all that nonsense. You know, he slid in the home plate last year unnecessarily, almost tore his ankle off, ended up missing games and was hurt in the playoffs when you need him. Then he gets hurt in spring training, being silly, jumping for a ball he didn't need to jump for. Okay, dude, keep playing around. Keep playing around. That's all I'm going to say.
First of all, kind of like you, he's an error waiting to happen in the outfield, right? Like he makes me nervous fielding. Like he like you said, doing stuff you really don't have to do. I played third base, but I some time to time used to go out to the outfield. But he scares me out there.
Mhm.
Seriously, scaring everybody. What do you think about the pitching? Though you think the pitching is coming around?
Woo.
Hendricks, Rodon, and Kopech. I mean, what you think about the pitching?
The White Sox got the best starting rotation in Major League Baseball.
Is that right? And now you a huge baseball fan. Now you know you into. I'm into it, but you into it.
They are solid.
You said the best in baseball.
They got the best starting rotation in all of baseball this year. And I'm gonna say this: it's not just 1 through 5, Lance. It's 1 through 6.
Who's your 6?
Michael Kopech.
I forgot about Kopech.
Michael Kopech. You know, they're gonna give him some spot starts. And he's a beast, man. His one start this year, he dominated them fools, man. He's a starting pitcher. And let's be honest, Garrett Crochet is also coming out there bullpen, but he's really a starting pitcher too. So this could be very interesting because you know and I know if you're gonna win a championship, you got to have what?
You got that pitching. Got that pitching and hitting. You got to have pitching first, though, because you got to be able to get somebody out. And speaking of pitching, cuz let me ask you this. I listened to a stat. You know, back in the day, like most pitchers went 7-8 innings.
Mm-hmm.
It said no pitching staff this year is pitching past six innings. Nobody. What's your thoughts on that? It said it's like 5. The most somebody's going is 5 innings, and that's it.
Well, baseball has changed. I think one of the reasons why they're not going 8-9 innings is because everybody's throwing the ball at 98 miles an hour now. You know, that used to be your closer, and your closer was in for an inning or two. Well, now they've changed it and built up these guys' stamina. So a lot of them are starting pitchers, but they can only throw 98, 99 miles per hour for 5 or 6 innings. You know, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And then, you know, they go to the bullpen, they bring in another guy who thought it was 97. So I think that's the way the sport is going. But the White Sox got some horses, though. You know, Lance Lynn, Carlos Rodon, you know, them dudes can pitch a while. Dylan Cease is getting better. You know, Dallas Keuchel, you know, he's been pitching well. His record isn't showing what it is. Giolito, you know, his record is very deceiving because in a couple of them losses, the White Sox didn't hit or they defense was terrible. They were throwing the ball all over the place. But, you know, Giolito is a good pitcher. I don't care what nobody say. Giolito is a good pitcher. He's not really struggling. But his team got to help him out too. Now, he can't do it all.
So, cuz, in a one-game series to win it all, who's your starting pitcher? Is it Lance Lynn? Who you going with?
Oh, Lord.
Who you going with? You got one game. Irvin, you have one game. You playing the Cubs.
Michael Kopech.
There you go. That was going to be my answer too, Irvin. I'm going with
Michael Kopech. I throw Michael Kopech out there. I throw him out there because nobody's seen him. Nobody has seen him. He has not gone through the rounds where everybody can see. Everybody has seen him. He throws 100 miles an hour. He's dominating. His control is amazing. And all you need to do is throw him out there for 4 or 5 innings.
That's right. That's right. You said in one game, Lance. In one game, I'm going with Michael Kopech. He gonna get me 5 or 6 innings scoreless or 1-run ball.
Jason, Rodon, Lance Lynn, you gonna take a guy up until this point that started one game and pitch him? Boy,
yes, I am.
You gotta have some stones for that one, Jay.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not saying you wrong, but you gotta have some stones now.
Ivan,
you better have some stones.
It's a high risk, high reward move, but I'm doing that one.
Jay, I am definitely that for real, for real.
Hell yeah, that boy is the truth, man. He is the truth.
Yeah, I feel like the unknown about him from the rest of the league, the unknown about him, but what you see every day with his control, his velocity, his command on the mound, you know what I mean? Like his presence on the mound alone is starting to become intimidating when you see Michael Kopech out there, dude. So I would say, yeah, Lance, Michael Kopech for one game.
Stay right there, Ivan. I'm gonna ask you guys this: like when coaches used to be on me about players, right? This guy. Will you bet your check on him, Jay? Ivan,
yes.
Will you bet your check on him in a one-game series?
I absolutely would.
All I need is a solid 4, a solid 4 or 5. That's all I need from you.
I definitely would. because he gonna mow people down, man. I probably wouldn't put him 3 times through the order, but definitely I feel comfortable putting him 2 times through the order. That's gonna get me 5-6 innings, man. He's a beast. He is a beast. So something special. But hey, we're coming up on our first commercial break. Let's go to our first commercial break, because coming up after the break, we have got sometimes journalist Evan Moore. He's coming on. We're going to talk some hockey. We're going to talk about his new book. We're going to talk about journalism and a whole lot of other stuff. You are watching What's Up, Cuz. We'll be right back.
Russell, what a play by Bill Russell.
I just arrived to get my COVID shot, and this is one shot I won't block.
Gratitude to a great ball club for courageous efforts.
No Celtics were harmed during my shot. Let's do this together. To learn more about vaccines, visit cdc.gov.
Autism is a spectrum disorder. This means it affects each and every person differently. People with autism explore the world in unique ways. It's time to start seeing autism from a new perspective. I'm Megan Sinisi, Miss Central Pennsylvania, asking you to pledge to be an acceptance ambassador today at FromANewPerspective.org. With your help, we can inspire a community of inclusion for the 3.5 million Americans living with autism.
Accept, respect, and power.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans, and soon they will be available to everyone.
This vaccine means hope. It will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
I want to go back to work, and I want to be able to move around.
To visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people, and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot.
Now it's up to you.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, Lance Irvin, and I am all with former President Jimmy Carter. Go out there and get those shots. It is a personal choice, but I highly recommend that you do it. It's so good to be able to spend time with people. I know a lot of people got a chance to see their mothers for the first time yesterday. They didn't get a chance to see them last year due to the pandemic. And a lot of Americans now are getting vaccinated. And Mother's Day, we got Memorial Day coming up in a couple of weeks. We got the 4th of July coming up, all the summer gatherings. And, you know, I want to see my family and relatives and friends. So I went out and got mine. So I'm good to go with that. I'm still taking the precautions, though, and wearing the mask because there are a lot of variants and stuff out here. But I was just so happy yesterday to see how many people got a chance to spend time with their mom, and, you know, people just in tears because they hadn't seen their mom in over a year, you know, and both you and I, we lost our moms recently, you know, in the past few years. So, you know, it was really a tough day for me yesterday as I was seeing everyone, you know, reuniting with their mom. And I know mine is gone on, but, you know, the memories, you know, just so many of the memories. And I know you got your memories of your Aunt Lou too. So,
man, your mother, Aunt Verb, boy, she was always so nice to us, but Aunt Verb had that side to us. Now, if we was doing something crazy, she'd tell us go sit down somewhere. but you know, there's nobody like Mom, Jay, right? And I missed my mom yesterday. I was having a moment, then I snapped out of it and remember the good times that we had. Like, my mother was the queen of making eggs and bacon and oatmeal. Like, my mother oatmeal tastes like no other oatmeal. So I got up and tried to make some oatmeal. I said, who am I teasing? My oatmeal not gonna taste like Mom. Then I thought about my grandmother, right? Grandma Rosie made the best homemade biscuits. Like, she made more than biscuits. So I thought about the biscuits. Then I said, who am I fooling? So I said, just let me sit down and smile. I just sat in the chairs and start smiling. So happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers. But it's good when you can have memories and you can sit back and smile and think about, think about the good old days.
I agree. So, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And, just a good sight yesterday to see so many people out with their mothers as we're trying to get through this pandemic. We're almost there, but we ain't going to spike the football yet.
Hey, Jay, because I heard the TSA said something like it's the most people that went through the airports and through the gates in the past year. So
yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. Good sign. All right, you ready to bring on our guest?
Man, bring him out. We've been wanting him on for a while, Jay.
I know, man. I told him, I said, man, when you gonna come on show? I know you wrote the book. He's like, well, the book ain't out yet. Let it get closer to the time. And I'm like, oh man, all right, got you. So, I'm glad you reached out to him, and the book is coming out pretty soon. I'm really looking forward to reading this book, man. This is gonna be really cool. So, I mean, Evan and I go back a ways, man. He's currently he currently works for the Chicago Sun-Times. But I've known him way before that. He actually wrote for the Crusader for a little bit there too, early in his career. But Evan and I go back a long ways because we like the two sports brothers in town who know hockey. And then we got Phil Thompson here. So now we got three brothers in Chicago who report on hockey. So NHL loves our city right now. But I'm so happy to have him, man. He's a graduate of Morgan Park High School.
MP High.
And grew up in South Shore. He's a native Chicagoan, and now he's doing his thing, and he's got a new book coming out. The name of the book is Game Misconduct, Hockey's Toxic Culture and How to Fix It. Welcome to What's Up, Cuz, our good friend, Evan Moore. Evan, what's up, brother?
What's up, y'all? What's happening?
What's up, Ev? How are you?
Good, man. Hanging in there. How y'all doing?
I'm doing great. I got the first question for you. Since you in charge of culture with the Sun-Times and you the culture guy, I got the first question for you, Ed. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Are you ready? See, now my younger cousin over there, I was watching SWV and Escape on Saturday, right? And my young cousin tweeted out something about Escape won the thing, right? I think SWV won the thing. What are your thoughts, Evan?
Thanks for asking, because I've been not recapping, but previewing the last three of them, where Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Ozzy Brothers, and then Meth and Red, and now this one. So yeah, I don't want to pick a winner because it's weird because I wasn't really into both groups like that. I mean, only reason my gateway into knowing about SWV was through the Anything Wu-Tang remix they did, with Method Man and Old Dirty. So yeah, so I was but I actually was watching with a friend, who obviously knew about both groups and was very aware or whatever. So, but overall, man, like I don't really like to pick a winner. I mean, I think just go back to all the versus battles that really mattered. Erykah Badu and Jill Scott and the ones I mentioned earlier, man. Like we have a lot of people who we're showing how we consume music differently, during the pandemic. Like you have some people who may be seasoned or old heads or whatever, like they're now trying to learn, like the Twiller app and learn how to do Instagram. And then you got the millennial folks who are like, oh, okay, so that's where that song will sample from, or whatever. Like, oh, this is probably why I exist, because of this song.
Right.
Mom was looking really good. Dad, Pop's like, mom looking really good that day. Like it's bringing a lot of different message things together, and I think it's really great how they're going about it. I mean, only versus battle that I felt like that was kind of like negative, but it kind of really wasn't when you thought about it. Was like Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy, because their history and everything else,
Yeah.
But other than that, man, like think about the one with Earth, Wind, and Fire and Ozzy Brothers. Outside of some of the meddling that Steve Harley did, like it was still a good time. Like you listen to a lot of good songs, and it makes you think back to like what you were doing or whatever when we first heard a particular song or a particular. You guys were talking about earlier about your mom's passed away on Mother's Day. I mean, if you have a relative that passes on, like anything like that reminds you of them, you're gonna have to sit down and take a moment, right? So it could be a song, it could be the type of chips they liked, or what kind of beer they drank, or whatever, or like food they like to cook. I mean, that's versus a job like, you know, bringing all that.
Yeah. So Evan, let me also ask you, you know, the versus thing is really taken off. From that very first one with Monica and Brandy and, you know, all the other people who've been on there. It's really, really taking off. What is the matchup you personally would like to see on versus coming up?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean,
that's a great question.
I think I've seen the one I wanted to see was like Method Man, not Method Man, but Raekwon and Ghostface. I'm a big Wu-Tang fan, so the fact that, you know, they got together, I mean, even though it wasn't really a battle per se, they're on each other's, like, a lot of each other's music. But man, on top of my head, you know, like, in terms of, like, you know, two artists like going at it, like, why not? Might as well do Jay-Z and Nas. I mean, it's might as well, like, just, you know, that history there, you know, with them beef and then getting back together into the culture and into the genre. I mean, shoot, why not?
Yeah. You know what, Jay? If he had a couple more kits, I wouldn't mind seeing somebody like LL Cool J and like
Cool Mo D.
And Cool Mo D.
Yeah.
But if Cool Mo D didn't have something, bring my man Big Daddy Kane out there.
Ooh,
I like that.
That would be good. That would definitely be. Well, you know, and I think another one that would possibly be good would be Boys and Men and Jodeci.
Oh wow, yeah, it would be. Yeah, like I just feel like sometimes Boys to Men is more so like, you know, even though black people mess with them, I feel like they're more so like white famous because they crossed over. And Jodeci, you know, they kind of hood, you know, like
kind of hood.
You know, their problems, and then, you know, they had that relationship with Knight, so.
Yeah, that could be interesting. I mean, they probably have to find KC somewhere, wheel him on the stage, but, you know, that would probably be a good battle. But Evan, talk to us a little bit about before we get into the book, just your journalism career, how you got started in journalism and in your career, and where you see it going forward.
Okay, cool. I mean, I started later than most, man. I didn't start writing until I was like 30, 31. And at that point in my life, man, I was either going to be a teacher because my parents are both retired CPS teachers. Either was going to do that or be a fireman or a police officer. You know, I was kind of all about the community. I felt like I could have been one of those police officers that's like, if I see some kid out there doing some dirt and I know, like, hey, like, this kid's got a future, I'm not going to lock him up just because. I'm going to be like, look, this ain't you. Go ahead. Like, I catch you out here again, you know, whatever, you know, like, but yeah, you know, like, I was always someone that was kind of interested in like random facts, just like knowing different things for like no good reason. And like, a friend of mine was like, yo, like, you should get involved in journalism. And, you know, me being a fan of The Wire, I saw that last season. And at first I was kind of like, nah, I don't think it looked all that great, you know, because most of you all are fans of The Wire now, you know, it made the,
love
it. Yeah, it told you that last season, you know, in terms of like journalism, you know, something else. So it kind of scared me off for a bit. But when you finally find your niche, because I'm one of those people that feel like that you don't have to really find your niche right away. It can come to you literally at any time. You got a will in the way. You got people around you that's rhyme for you, willing to help you out. You can get it done. And yeah, so I just kind of started like that, where it was like I just kind of had my own blog, just writing about things I cared about, whether it was sports, politics, pop culture, music, relationships, you know, anything that was getting people talking. So I had written a blog about the ward remapping, you know, in the city they did, you know, a while ago. And I started blogging for Chicago Now, and one of the other bloggers had ran one of the three, you know, Latino based newspapers in the city at the time. And she asked if she could, you know, reprint my blog. And I was like, okay, cool. And I did what most journalists do when they first starting out, you know, like once I found out I was in the print edition, I, you know, went to the newspaper stand, opened it up, threw through it, and saw my byline. You know, that was that moment where I'm just like, yo, like, this is my way to contribute to society, you know, because I grew up in a household where, household and had family members who were Panthers and who were members of the Nation of Islam, or small business owners. And like as a kid, you know, when family would get together during the holidays or somebody's birthday, you know, I'd be like little kid just sitting there just listening to them just talk about, you know, Black life in the city and also Black life, you know, period, you know, in America. I even knew from a young age that, like the game is different for us, and if we don't run point on our own stories, we people will come to our communities and use our names and tell our stories and not even include us. Even as a kid, I knew that wasn't cool. So I guess my journey, like just kind of wrapping this up, like, I did some stuff for Rolling Stone and for the Red Eye and for the Tribune. And then I've been at the Sun Times since 2018. I started there as doing social media as a digital content producer. And over time, I was, given the beat, to cover culture and entertainment. And on that beat, that's why you're seeing since I've taken over since last year, you see some stories you probably hadn't seen there before, and all goes to why a newsroom is a viable place when in terms of when all Chicagoans are involved in some way, shape, or form. Because we all have different stories, and different things and different emphasis and how we grew up and we saw the city, and I will say, like, that's why you see some of the stories that you're seeing, because it's someone who not only grew up in the city, like, who actually still lives in the city. I moved back to South Shore in 2019, and a lot of my colleagues at the newspaper and other places, a lot of them don't live in the communities they write about. I mean, I'm in the community. Like, you see me walking down the street, you see me at the store with my kid, you see me like getting my haircut or whatever, like, and sometimes when stuff happens in newspapers where Black folks and other folks are, written about a certain way, I be telling my colleagues, we hear it first.
Right.
We hear it first. Like, what's this about, man? What they saying over there? Why they doing us like that or whatever? And like, and in many cases, we need to have better answers for folks. And like, it's the way we disseminate news it's like we expect people to like know how we go about doing things, and we don't have those conversations telling them how and why we go about doing things. That's why you get, some of the backlash when we, write about certain people, in a certain way and everything else. And I think that, we give some of that power away. We open it up to people. They can see how we get down.
Without a doubt. Once again, being joined by the culture critic of the Chicago Sun-Times, our good friend Evan Moore. He's joining us here on What's Up, Cuz.
You know, Evan, that's why I wanted you on the show, because you well versed at a lot of different things, right? And you just said something that caught my eye. You said the game is different for us, right? When did you understand like the game is different for us? Sometimes it takes people a little bit longer to understand that, but it seems like you understood that at an early age.
I think where I really noticed it as a kid was something I noticed as a kid, but I got confirmation on it like decades later. Like in my mom and dad's house, like by the door, because my mother would collect like, blackface figurines. And, and I was, as a kid, kind of wondered, why they were near the door. And, one day, went back over there, was talking to my mother one day. She was like, I was like, hey, we still have them there and everything else. And what was that about? She was like, I want you to know before you leave the house every day that this is what they think of black people. And, and it's one of those things where you kind of think about things that happened in my lifetime in terms of race, in terms of like, being a kid and being at a suburban mall and seeing a police officer, security guard, wherever buddy was, like following me to like all these different stores and, just getting pulled over for like no good reason, or like stuff that, those random microaggressions or like full on like overt stuff that happens to black folks. And you think back to like that conversation, like, yo, mom was right. She was preparing me for, a world, where we're looked at differently, because, parents of a certain age, like their precautionary tale is Emmett Till. And, being a parent now as a 5-year-old kid, and like, I'm, and like, you think about, every time, it was probably like scary every time we left the crib, or going to the bus for school, or going to the bus stop, or going to a neighborhood where, like folks don't look like us. You just kind of never know. So it was definitely like, just to answer your question, Lance, like, more specifically, yeah, I guess it was, like my mom and dad setting that foundation of, hey, like, you can be out here, that's cool, but you ought to know, like, things are different for us because remember, like, because both my parents were teachers, as I said, I remember family vacations, and like sometimes we was at Disneyland and Disney World, and other times we visited the plantation. You know, they wanted to ground us. Like, it was like, hey, like, ain't all sweet out here. This how.
I know that's right. Well, Evan, that's a perfect segue, so we can talk about your book, Game Misconduct. Hockey in the past few years has been taken to task for some of the practices that they've had generationally in place, how the coaches have talked to the players, how the players have been dealt with by the different leagues. Even our Blackhawks haven't been immune to some of this stuff, but you and I have always been promoting the sport because we love it and how great it is, and we've got connections with other Black journalists, other Blacks who are in the NHL office. But your book, tell us what it's about and what gave you the idea to go ahead and write it.
Oh, well, I've been jotting down things over the years, like different, like if it was like a story I was writing that they got killed, or killed in the for the initiated, killed in the sense in the journalism term is like, we decided not to put it out, like, or whatever, and just different things I kept in my back pocket over a number of years, and meeting, Josh Vino online. We had met once in person way back in the day when I covered a hockey tournament, a college hockey tournament at the United Center. But, I saw a tweet from her saying like, hey, someone should pay me to write a book about hockey culture. And I DM'd her like, yo, like, I've been like thinking about the same thing. How about, we collaborate on this? And, she was with it. And the book is basically about all the things that hockey culture is starting to get, noticed for. That's kind of been there the whole time. Of all the four major sports, they operate in a cut. It's a neat sport, and a lot of stuff that won't be tolerated in the NBA or the NHL or even, Major League Baseball, like, happens there. And some of the things we talk about in the book is like, I'm one of the few, like, brothers out there, like Jason, you probably the other one, like, that kind of follows basketball and hockey, pretty well, and you just kind of notice like this weird hatred that like hockey fans seem to have for like the NBA, because both sports run, like I said, at the same time. Because you can see like the Stanley Cup final and the NBA finals like at the same time. You just kind of notice over time like a lot of these like fans and other dudes like this saying like this low key stuff about the NBA and about LeBron and about D Rose and D Wade and a few other folks, and it's kind of viewed as because I feel like that the critique these guys have is, in some components is racial, sometimes it's generational, and sometimes it's cultural. And for instance, like LeBron James is propped up as being selfish or whatever, and you think about his entire story, growing up like a single mom and moving from housing project to housing project, and creating a school, coming back to his community and creating a school where he kept in mind like some of the things he went through as a kid. He didn't want any of these kids in Akron and Cleveland to go through this. And you're sitting here calling this guy selfish and only thinks of himself. Like you're just kind of like, where's that coming from? Like, what? It's like hockey's a great sport all by itself. Why do you need to like pick at the NBA? Or you're doing it because they're picking at these dudes because they're trying to pick at Black people as a whole. And you see what they say about different folks, and you see some of the same problems. For instance, like when all that stuff was happening to Patrick Kane, it was like, oh, he's just a kid. And how many of these people still talk about Derrick Rose ACT scores and other stuff, but never talk about some of the stuff he's done. He's done pretty well, done pretty good for folks in the city. And you all know this better, like what basketball means in Chicago is in our DNA. You've seen how like the NBA All-Star Weekend last year played out. Like you've seen how that all played out, and for hockey, it's just not the same here. Hockey is more so here is like a suburban sport, and here is like city. Like you literally will see someone you saw as a 6th, 7th, and 8th grader end up, in the NBA. We saw with Derrick Rose. Like, how long have we been following Derrick Rose since he was like at Beasley still? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. And you really don't see that with hockey. What are some of the things also in the book, specifically that you talk about in terms of things that need to be fixed in hockey?
Yeah, in terms of access to the sport, we also talk about like race, homophobia, sexism, and ableism, and this also hockey's relationship with conservative politics and law enforcement. We talk a lot about that, and we talk about like all these different things and what it all means. And over time, when I've talked about some of the stuff that's going on in hockey, people are like, think I'm, hockey fans. Like some of them think like I'm trying to, guess using a term that we're using these days, cancel hockey, and it's not the case. We're talking about things that's happened, and do other things happen in other sports and other leagues? Sure, but we're talking about this specifically. But we do, mention, some of that stuff. Like for instance, we talk a lot about scouting. And in hockey, the center position had that same relationship that black players have with being the quarterback. In terms of we always hear about black quarterbacks, like it's all about running. They don't process information. Like we just saw this with like Justin Fields. Well, to talk about him, before the draft, about him not being able to process information and everything else, you just kind of notice. Like how like black folks are in the history of that sport, and in terms of like football, like we saw even with Lamar Jackson with Bill Polian, it was like, yeah, he's better off playing receiver. But nobody said that to Ryan Tannehill when he was playing receiver in college and he played quarterback in the NFL, right? And so it's the same thing with hockey in terms of the center position, where it's. People seem to think that black players aren't quote unquote smart enough to play that position. So we talk about that. We just talk about all those aforementioned issues. We also talk about how things need to be fixed. And because I was honestly, we were kind of surprised that our publisher, Triumph Books, even took on the book. We went to a couple of other publishers who we thought it would be cool with talking about hockey and intersectional, and they weren't, and it was like crazy because like with Triumph, they've done all these books about those books the books that come up as soon as the team win the championship, and you be like how fast they make they make that book pretty fast, or all these different books, and you actually take some of the folks in the book to task that they've written about in the past, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, LeBron, because I remember our first meeting with the publisher, and one of the folks from the publishing company was like, hey, like hockey players are salt of earth, they're great people and everything else. And like, that's it right there. Like, why do they get to be, the kid next door, or, like someone who, came from meager beginnings and made something of themselves, and NBA guys are seen as, selfish and spoiled and rich. Like, what's that all about? And so it's something that we kind of discussed, and we with also that thing where it's like, why a lot of black folks, shy away from the sport, and the ones that do embrace the sport, why we look at them like, oh, why you liking that white boy sport or whatever.
Right. Gotcha.
So we're getting some the extremely uncomfortable conversations in the book.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna take a commercial break. Evan's gonna come right back after this short commercial break, and we're going to talk more. We are with Evan Moore. Sometimes if you don't watch him, what's up does.
Autism is a spectrum disorder. This means it affects each and every person differently. People with autism explore the world in unique ways. It's time to start seeing autism from a new perspective. I'm Megan Sinisi, Miss Central Pennsylvania, asking you to pledge to be an acceptance ambassador today at FromANewPerspective.org. With your help, we can inspire a community of inclusion for the 3.5 million Americans living with autism.
Accept, respect, and power.
African Americans here and across the country are contracting coronavirus at higher rates than others. People of color and those with underlying health conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and asthma are being hit hard. Please protect yourself and your family. Wash your hands often. Clean and disinfect frequently touched items. Wear a cloth face covering in public places like the grocery store where it's hard to social distance. More importantly, stay at home as much as possible. Your safety and the safety of our community depends on it.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. High as the listening skies, let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, we will march on till victory. We will march on till victory. Let us march on till victory is won.
Welcome back, everybody. What's up, cuz? And I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, Lance C. Irvin, and we're being joined by Evan Moore. Evan, Blackhawks, last game of the regular season and of the season is tonight here at the United Center. They're at home. A couple of things I want to ask you about with this Blackhawks team. But first, Mayor Lightfoot did what she thought was in the best interest of everyone. And she limited fans. Basically, we had no fans until these last two games, and we've got a limited crowd there. And I understand the decision. But the Blackhawks and the Bulls were the last teams in their respective leagues that host fans. Did the mayor do the right thing in this situation, in your opinion, or do you think the fans should have been allowed to come back at a limited capacity? And what do you think that did to the Blackhawks coming home and playing in that empty United Center?
I mean, the way that season went for them, honestly, I think their season was pretty successful. Going in when you were uncertain about Andrew Shaw and Brent Seabrook and the goaltending position because they let Corey Crawford walk and play for sign with the Devils, and he eventually retired, and they had all these young players playing overtime. So this was going to be a unique season, COVID or not. And I'm not sure, how with the whole thing with Governor Pritzker and Mayor Lightfoot, and then being, like you said, one of the last places in most sports to allow fans inside. So it was, they kind of, in a lot of areas stuck to their message about trusting science. And as science were kind of dictating like, hey, we can open things up bit by bit, and that's what they've done. And has it coincided with? Has it just barely coincided with the way the Blackhawks season is going to end pretty soon? And yeah, I mean but the amount of rookies or young players they played this year. I mean, at one point in time, you're kind of like, okay, well, I think they can make the playoffs because they played well pretty well for an extended period of time, just enough to get you to think like, hey, I think, they'll make the playoffs. But obviously you've seen like they faltered in the past couple of months. And, that goaltender situation was really a big question. And, and you had, Lankinen and then, Subban with some good appearances and Delia recently, and about, making some really good saves and, helping the team out and everything. But yeah, it was like, it was just so many young players that Kurashev, Suter, Hardman and Hagel and Mitchell, it was, and Ertzweil, it was just so many guys, like they had to, fit in. So I mean, he's like, you want to see what they're working with their minor league and their far system and their young guys, and we've seen it so far this season.
Let me ask you this, Evan, because you and Jason, like the two people I know that really understand hockey, right? So let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you a two-part question. Number one, how did you get started loving hockey? And then number two, which young guy jersey should I go out buy, right? Because my cousin always getting on the show with 88 and 8, and he's always hollering at me, making fun of me. So hockey, then whose jersey should I go out buy?
Oh, let's start off with the first question. That's the first question I get, and how does somebody from 71st Luella, start like hockey? And I guess I grew up in a household where we fostered, curiosity. And I remember as a kid watching the Olympics, I was just like, wow, I just thought it was like a really like dangerous and like exciting sport.
Tough.
And then, I remember like as a kid, flipping through Ebony magazine, and I saw that the Blackhawks, traded for Tony McKegney. So that was actually it's one thing to like the sport, but to actually see like a black player, that was like, I felt like that solidified it for me. Like, hey, this is something, all of us can do, or one of us or a few of us are doing it. And in terms of your jersey question, like, man, it's a lot of people. I mean, it's easy for a lot of people to go with like Duncan Keith and Taves and Kane and Seabrook and like I don't know. I just had this like weird history of like jerseys where it's like I finally get like a player or in any sport that I mess with and something crazy happened. So
give me that dude. Give me that dude. Come on, Evan. Give me that dude. Come on, give it to me. You know it too. I'm putting pressure on you.
I'm gonna give you Brandon Hagel. I'm gonna give you him. I'm putting Brandon Hagel.
Yeah.
So he's a young guy. He might be stepping into that role that was kind of left with Andrew Shaw retiring, like a guy who can, like score some goals and be blue collar and, but also, like he's not like a typical like enforcer or one of those guys. Like I think hockey is kind of phasing that out. You got to have some skill to play the game. So I'll go with Brandon Hagel.
So Evan, now I like tough players now. So I'm not gonna get laughed at when I go buy his jersey now. Like I said,
he's a tough dude. Like it's
because I respect your opinion. I'm gonna tell everybody. My man Evan was on the show. He told me to go get this jersey now. Because you and Jason, y'all always talking about my cousin. You don't know hockey. I said, Jay, hockey like basketball. I mean, I think so. That's the young guy I need to know. And let me ask you this question: how is the coaching with the Blackhawks? So, what rating did you get Jeremy this year? What rating would you get Jeremy? I don't criticize coaching. I leave that up to Jason, but I ask coaching questions.
Okay, well, yourself as a coach, when, we get put in a tough situation, following up a legend, and you're a young guy at on top of that. So it was tough at first, even though they made a playoffs and, won a playoff series and everything else, and then to follow that up with, playing pretty well for most of the season and then faltering toward the end. But although the nuances and the caveats of that is, like as a transition with the team right now because you had like, some of the stalwarts like Seabrook and Shaw retired, but you had all these young dudes too. So, I mean, if I had a scale of 1 to 10, would I give Jeremy Colleton? Man, I give him probably being generous with this, man. I'd probably give him a 7, because I see in the chat somebody give him 0, but but man, it's. I think even though I think like Quinville was kind of done dirty, but at the same time, like it's this guy like if they don't make the playoffs again next season, if they start off slow next season, I think they'll seriously think about replacing him. But you saw at the end of last season how I got out there, like some of the veteran players were like we're kind of of the mind like what they were basically saying like like whose man is this? I don't know about this guy, whatever.
Right.
But like I said earlier, maybe like the fact that the team played pretty well for an extended period of time maybe buys him some time and them knowing like, hey, he was so many young guys started this year, and like you do give a coach in any sport not credit, but give them some time, especially when you hand them so many young players who made their pro debut this season.
Right. Let me ask you this, Evan. Since you've been covering hockey, I've been covering hockey. We've been doing it for a long time. What would you say? How would you rate what the NHL has done in terms of getting more people from our community specifically
Great question.
involved in the sport? Not just those who make it to the NHL, because obviously we see them. If they get there, we'll see that right away. But just hockey in general in the NHL on the lower level, the AHL, and even in the college ranks. How do you think the African American community we have a lot of Black Canadians too. So how do you think Black people are doing in terms of getting access to playing hockey and getting the opportunities to go up the ladder in their career?
I feel in terms of being fans and interested, I mean, the Blackhawks are on TV and hockey is accessible in terms of watching it on TV because when I was coming up, they weren't on TV a whole lot. And the only time you saw them on TV is they having to make the playoffs, and that was, kind of few and far between. But in terms of like someone, because for me, there was a barrier between, okay, I like this sport, I mess with it, and wanting to play because in the city proper, there aren't that many rinks. I mean, the closest one to me was an outdoor rink was on the Midway in 55th and Hyde Park. There, I was already, gone from there, but I already had like left to college and everything. So, but in terms of access, you gotta have rinks that's nearby folks, like all year round, like indoor rinks. And I think that's a thing that's still access to the barrier. And the sport's expensive. Like it's expensive all around, even for, grown folks and everyone else. And I think it's this thing where it's like, like if, for instance, somewhere like basketball, you can essentially grab a ball or go to a court, you can basically start that way. And with hockey, it's about equipment and access and all these different tournaments and all these different leagues and everything else. So that's kind of the barrier right there, like it's, and if you're one of the few, like the very few that makes it, in terms of players, if you're a person of color, particularly a Black person, like all this stuff happens where it's been time we talk about in the book where, like people will get like racial stuff from like opposing teams, sometimes on their own team, like parents and other folks. And, you guys know that, with y'all family history, like it's someone say something crazy to you, it's gonna be a problem. You had that support system, with Irvin's and everyone else, but a lot of these families and kids in terms of hockey, it's basically just them.
You know what? Let me ask y'all this though. How much does it cost to start off playing hockey from the equipment standpoint, the shoulder pads, the ice skate? Because I really don't know, and you two out especially. So for the novice,
Evan plays, so Evan knows.
So the novice sitting there watching, how much do we expect to fork out to play hockey starting out?
It's an investment. I can tell you that much. That's an investment, and that's the thing where it's like, if someone starts out like young, I suggest used equipment, because in that sport, it's a thing where it's like if someone wants to learn, you pass on, you give them some used equipment.
Okay.
Once they get the plan and get acclimated, and they pass that gear on to someone else, because that was what someone did for me. I only started like actually playing maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and someone gave me some of their gear.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I was done with that, I passed it on to someone else, because it is an expensive sport. It is an investment. And unfortunately, that what, kind of keeps our folks out of it. And so, I was just, because my daughter, I've been interesting her in playing in, and she's lucky that dad has access and has the capital, like, to get her started, and she's like playing and enjoy the sport, a lot younger than, I did. So, there's a couple of programs in town actually that, sees what's going on, and they're kind of helping these kids, like, bridge the gap. And they look at it like, hey, there really shouldn't be any barrier if someone wants to learn how to play and learn the sport. And that kind of stops a lot of us, like, oh, cool, I want to do this, that, and the third. And it'd be like, oh, all right, well, I don't have the bread for that. But I see in the chat one person's asking, what are those programs? I'm actually an ambassador for one. One is called Hockey on Your Block, and another one is called ICE, that's Inner City Education. And there's another one that's kind of getting a lot of traction nationally. It's called Black Girl Hockey Club.
Yes.
And that's, with Renee Hess and everything else. And she actually sponsors a young lady that plays in the Chicago area. So they're all about, raising money so kids can, bridge the gap. And if they learn how to play, there should be barriers.
Yeah, I agree, man. And, I do think the lack of ice surfaces in the hood keeps a lot of people out, and then the expense, and not to mention if your kid want to play goalie, that's even more expensive because there's more equipment you got to buy. So I do thank the Blackhawks. I know they've really tried to make some inroads in our community over the last few years. Jamal Mayers, who's come on our show before, Jamal has been a great ambassador. I know, Evan, you're an active ambassador. I try to promote the sport as much as I can through my media vehicles as well. So got a couple more minutes with you. Let me ask you this. Writing the book, what was the hardest part of it, and what has brought you the most joy from going through the experience of writing Game Misconduct?
Man, the hardest part, like, oh man, I want to say it was particularly difficult because I had a co-author, so we did take like different parts of the book, like, hey, I'm gonna write about this, you write about that, but there's also areas in the book where you collaborated on. But I guess the difficult part, it wasn't like the lack of content, it was like just getting it down, like in terms of like the word count, like there's plenty to write about and talk about. And I guess for us, obviously the publisher gave us like a specific word count, and like, we didn't really, worry about the word count until it came down to like, we just like, we're just gonna write, to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came down to, we were like, hey, I think we got everything covered. We did have to do some cutting toward the end, but also we turned in the manuscript initially in January, but so much stuff has happened. So much stuff has happened since January. Mm-hmm. So we did have to go back in and add a few things along the way. But in terms of what I'm happy about, like there's not a book out here like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a couple of books out there of people who've written on like racism in hockey and some of the stuff that's happened with individual players, but not like this, and taking the view that we're taking it, and like we need this time for these uncomfortable, conversations in the sport and society at large, and how people are treated. And you have folks who fashion themselves as gatekeepers of the sport. And like you tell them, like, hey, all this stuff is going on. Like, like the thing about that, what happened with George Floyd, and then that had literally happened, in Minnesota, which is, nicknamed the state of hockey. And because of that, like you saw, like, and it's one thing for black players to come out and say things, but you saw a lot of white players. You saw Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, like, putting out better statements than the Blackhawks did. Like, and you're just like, okay, like, people are starting. It's unfortunate, like, that COVID and people having to be close to home and not out there doing a whole bunch of other things. And then, for us to see, we see that man, like, crying for a dead mama as he was dying, like, and you had, it shouldn't have taken, for that circumstance to happen for us to be, for you all to start listening to us for things we had been telling y'all for years. But glad you're here. But, like, we've been telling y'all, but yeah.
Gotcha. You know what, Evan? People always use the phrase "do it for the culture," right? Do it for the culture. How would you sum up the culture in Chicago? Like, how do you think we are in Chicago?
Man, I think here in the city, man, it's it's interesting. Like, I know we had that reputation for being haters and giving people a hard time and everything else, but that kind of what, makes us special, no matter what your economic background is, in the city. Like, you do have some type of, gravitas or swag to you. You grew up in the city, like you do feel like, like, hey, like, this is my city. I love my city. But also there are some things, also we don't like about the city, but, we fight, fight for it, to the death. So I think that many of us who are, still here, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight for the city. We're gonna, fight for our neighborhoods and fight, for our people. And we all may have, like, different ways how we go about doing that, but I think everybody's, hearts in the right place on how they want to see these things move in the city.
I agree. Evan Moore, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Evan. Tell us where and when they can get the book.
They can get it now on pre-order, from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any independent bookstores in the city. But the book, the publication date is October 12th.
Right on time for the new hockey season.
Get it, because you sold me when you said politics and law enforcement and hockey. You sold me on that. I'm buying. I was gonna buy it anyway, but that's interesting to me. Politics, Jay, and law enforcement and hockey. Oh, I'm buying that book.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty good, man. I'm looking forward to reading it, Evan, and congratulations again to you. I know you've been working hard on this book for a couple of years. I'm almost at the end of my manuscript, so I know what it's like, brother. I know what it's like. So proud of you, man, and thank you for coming on and talking about it, man. And we'll talk to you soon, okay?
What's up? Appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
Appreciate it, Evan.
All right.
Thank
Evan
you,
Moore, ladies and gentlemen of the Chicago Sun-Times. Man, that book is gonna be good, man. We started this show, and one of the things we've always tried to do is try to inform our community, man. There's a lot of sports out here. That we can get involved in. And not just our community, but our Latinx community as well. Our Asian communities as well. There is no such thing as a sport as white. There is no such thing. I'm a water polo referee. There are people don't know how many African-American kids in the city of Chicago right now are playing water polo. It's growing more. We can play a lot of sports. Obviously, our family is big in basketball. Basketball is always going to be king in Chicago, but you can play any sport you want. You can golf, you can swim, you can play hockey, you can play lacrosse. There's a lot of opportunities out here for kids from our community, so we just try to present them.
Man, Jay, that was well said. I'm glad you said that, because growing up, right, we played basketball, we played baseball, we played football.
No, we didn't. We
used to play in the street.
Your daddy wouldn't let us play.
But we could all play. They wanted us to play. And you talked me, you and Cindy was one of the people that talked me to letting Brookie play volleyball.
Yep,
so
we did.
We all do different things, though. That's why we started the show. And to have you so heavy in the hockey, Jay, truthfully, you and Evan should start your own show. And you know that. How many blacks do we have that can sit and talk? You and Evan basically talk hockey.
And Philip.
I help. Yeah, and Philip, you Evan and Philip. Y'all can talk hockey. You can have an intelligent conversation about hockey. How many of us actually know some blacks
that would be
can
interesting?
Sit there, that could really sit and talk hockey.
That would be an interesting show.
Be honest.
We'd have a black writer from the Tribune, black writer from the Sun-Times, and a black writer from the Crusader talking hockey.
And Philip was good too.
Very interesting.
Exactly.
Look at Ivan. Ivan giving a thumbs up. Sean is probably somewhere watching this like, hey, a new show idea for sports.
Man, I'm giving Jay, seriously, doing hockey season. Y'all would kill it. Jay, how many people do you see on ESPN blacks talking hockey? I don't see none. Maybe.
Right. I mean, we got our guard Jamal Mayers. He does it for NBC.
Okay.
We got Ivan, what's the guy on
See, you saying what's the guy?
No, Anson Carter.
I like Anson.
Anson Carter's on NHL Network, and you got Kevin Weeks, the former goalie. He's also on the NHL Network. But I do agree with you. And one of our guests coming up in October is the guy who is the new play-by-play announcer for the new expansion team, the Seattle Kraken. Their play-by-play announcer is going to be an African-American brother from Detroit, and he's the first black person to ever do play-by-play for hockey for an NHL team. So, I mean, we're still making strides in this sport. It's slowly but surely, but and like Evan said, we have seen advances. I'm seeing it on the youth level. I'm seeing it on the collegiate level, and we're starting to see it in the NHL. More people from our community.
See, like you said, though, we starting to see it. If you see it, you can do it. Like you were really the first person that started talking to me about hockey like 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. You actually started saying like hockey is like basketball. I went to the first hockey game and you said, man, you're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to have a great time. And I was like, yeah, Jay was right. So just having you introduce me to hockey, talking to me about hockey, I just had an hour conversation with you two about hockey.
Right.
And I loved every minute listening to it.
Yeah. Right? It's a fun sport, man. It's a fun sport. It
definitely is. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Philip was good. I mean, I like hockey. Jamal, I need to get season tickets. If you can get us, some
I know that's right. If Lori Lightfoot will let us in, I don't know if Auntie Lori gonna let us in, but we'll try. Hey, we gotta take one more commercial break for the show, and then Lance and I are gonna come back. We're gonna talk jump ball. We got our jump ball segment.
I almost forgot about jump ball.
Quite interesting. We're gonna talk a little Chicago Bulls. Greg Robbins is gonna jump in with us and help us talk a little bit of Bulls action. Their playoff push, and then we'll close out the show. But we're going to take a quick 60-second commercial break, and then we'll be back with Jump Ball. You are watching What's Up, Cuz.
Let's get back to normal. How do we do that? Wear a mask, wash your hands, stand 6 feet apart, get tested, and most important, roll up your sleeve and get the shot.
Get the shot. Get the shot.
Get the shot.
I got the shot. I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot, and so should you.
Autism is a spectrum disorder. This means it affects each and every person differently. People with autism explore the world in unique ways. It's time to start seeing autism from a new perspective. I'm Megan Sinisi, Miss Central Pennsylvania, asking you to pledge to be an acceptance ambassador today at FromANewPerspective.org. With your help, we can inspire a community of inclusion for the 3.5 million Americans living with autism.
Accept, respect, and power.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my crazy cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. And it is that time, everybody, for Jump Ball. Take on a topic. We give you our opinion. We got 60 seconds to make our point. And Ivan is the moderator and the clock operator and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Ivan, you learned how to work the clock this week, man.
I have it, Lance. I have the clock ready to go.
Okay. Good.
I had what's it called popping up on me though.
Uh-oh.
There we go. There we go. It's ready to go. No, it's ready to go. It's ready to go.
Jason, can I ask you a question? Is the trainer named Baffred How do you pronounce my man's name? So
Don't worry about that, man. You giving the question away. Be quiet. Let Ivan do his job. You got to go first.
All right, here we go.
I'm going first. I'm going
All
first.
right, so the jump off question for tonight is: should everyone who lost their money during that debacle of a Kentucky Derby be given their money back if Medina Spirit is disqualified for cheating?
Oh.
That's going to be the question. And honestly, like, it's a great question. It's a great question. Lance, we already know where you at, Lance was hitting me and Jason pretty hard pre-show. But, I mean, it's a great question. That's cheating is cheating, Lance. We're going to go ahead and start with Jason, though, because I like what Jason has to say.
Okay. The clock is going?
I thought I was going first.
Wait, I thought okay.
I go.
Yeah, everybody should get their damn money back. Starting with me. Hell, I lost $75 in that race. What y'all talking about? Should give me my paper back. First of all, Bob Baffert has been cheating for years. Okay, years. This man has been cheating. He's been caught 5 times this year alone at Churchill Downs at that one racetrack. In the past year, he's had 30 of his horses that have tested over the limits for drugs. The man is like A-Rod on steroids, okay? The man is a cheater. The horse cheated and won. How you going to not give people their money back after that? I don't care if you already did the payout. Y'all do a refund or something and run me my paper back. And to be honest, I wish this was like the horse racing industry back in the day when it was Louis and Luigi, because they'd show up and Bob Baffert to be floating in some river somewhere.
No, he did. Hey, Ivan, let me put him out of his misery using his own words.
Start the clock on him.
Did my cousin, that's a journalist, who's one of the best researchers in the country, tell me that man is caught cheating, which I researched 30 times, Ivan. 30 times his horse has been drugged up. 5 times this year, and my cousin gonna bet against the man. Listen to that, Ivan. Does that make sense to you? If I know a man is cheating like that and getting away with it, and his horses is winning, this is his 7th Derby win, correct? Why not am I gonna vote for that man? I'm voting for that man all day, every day, which means he's good at what he's doing. That's almost like, Ivan, if you say go and I jump, if I'm in a race and they say go and I jump the whistle and they don't say nothing and I win the race, anybody gonna tell me I didn't win? So fellas, everybody, ladies, Jason, come on, man. I can't believe you're not getting your money back because you knew the man was a cheater. You knew it and you didn't vote for him.
Lance's philosophy is if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Is that what it is?
If you ain't cheating, there's a difference. There's a difference. That man been caught cheating 30 times, right? 30 times. And you think I'm going to bet against that guy? He has won how many derbies? What's that? Is his 7th derby?
Yeah.
He didn't get caught 7 times, and the derby is one of the biggest payouts out there. We all know that. That owner got like $1.8 million. Anytime Bob Baffert, whatever his name is, Jay, if he has a horse, I'm picking this horse. I'm picking his horse.
To me, I still agree with Jason. It's like you come in there for a service, right? And it is somewhat of a service. You come in there for a service, even though you're giving up your money, but you're risking some money, and then it's, you find out that the tables are. I say you deserve a discount, or you deserve some type of a credit or something, because that's just too much. You playing with people's lives at that point.
Right, Lance. Wait, here's the thing.
You too smart for this, Jay. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
No, because here's the problem, Lance. They gonna take Bob Baffert's money away from him. He's not getting the money. If this thing is conclusive that he cheated, they're taking his money. They're giving the horse that finished 2nd place his own. They're giving him the 1st place money. So you taking the money from him.
Jason.
So if you're taking money from him, why you not gonna give me my money back?
Legalized betting, organized crime. The folks ain't giving you your money back. What's the money? That's almost like Jay, when it was a fixed fight, how many people got their money back on a fixed fight?
And look at where boxing is now. That's what I'm saying.
Answer my question from a journalistic standpoint.
What do you want me to say?
How many folks get their money back on a fixed fight?
Nobody.
How many horse races? You're not getting it back in horse racing.
I want my money back, man. The man cheated. The man cheated. I put $75 into the race, man. They need to run me back my paper, dude. $75 is a lot of money, man. That's like two, 3 tanks of gas with me, man.
How much would you have won on that?
More than $75.
You should have put it on the cheater.
I should have.
That man track record. That man has a great track record. That man sat up there and said, Jay, that man sat up there and said, Irvin. That man said, well, he was on drugs, but I don't know who gave it to him.
Well,
I don't know how he got in this system.
No, did you hear the latest theory?
What's the theory now?
So the theory that they're now saying with what has happened is that the groomer, those are the people that kind of take care of horses, the groomer went into the same stall where Medina Spirit was the night before the race or whatever, and the groomer had to take a leak. So the groomer urinated in the stall with the horse, and that the groomer had a cold and was taking cough medicine, so that the cough medicine was in his system, and when he urinated on the hay, the horse ate the hay, and that's why the horse is.
That's the most wildest thing since I heard Canelo talking about him eating some tainted meat.
That's what is it? President 45 theory. President 45 got everybody thinking. You could tell as many non-truths as you want to, and we as the public will believe anything that you say. That man said somebody urinated in the stall, and we gonna believe it. And people gonna go around and say that tomorrow. Oh yeah, he just urinated in the stall, and that's how. Y'all know they gonna say that.
But Lance, to your point, like the money, like he's sitting up there just like, I peed on the hay. Like they're trying to peed on the hay and the horse ate. Like what kind of dog ate my homework type of story is that?
Let me answer a question. The pitcher gets up there, rubs his hat, got a little oil in his hat, right? You know that little oil make that fastball do some tricks, Jay. If he throws and nobody catches him, is that cheating?
Yes,
is it cheating?
It's still cheating, Lance.
Look. If you're talking about like a natural oil in your hair, like if you put oil in his hair
no.
the game.
On the bib like Jason Palmer used to do when he was pitching.
You talking about actually?
Yeah, you just go.
That's definitely cheating. But that's definitely cheating. But we're talking about injecting the horse with steroids. Like we're not talking about Crisco on the shoulder. You know what I mean? We're talking about injecting the horse with steroids and millions of dollars. Like
and the horse is the victim in this thing. The horse didn't approve of this, Lance. The horse is like, why you peeing in my hay, dude? What are you doing? We know it wasn't no peeing in the hay. Somebody injected the horse. I know the horse is like, you people are supposed to be getting the vaccine shot. What the hell are you shooting me up for?
The horse sitting there smiling because the horse is eating top of the line hay. The horse not eating any hay. That horse won. That horse took his laps around the field. That horse has a conversation. Medina Spirit is doing it. And your guy, he's good. Let me know when he's in the race again, okay? And then folks got the Preakness got the nerve to say, if his horse in the race, we're not betting. Don't bet. You don't have to bet. Because other people are going to bet. It's called 45. Go ahead. There it is. Go ahead.
That's ridiculous, Lance. I cannot believe that you're advocating for this fool, man. I can't believe you're advocating this nonsense, but okay, fine. That's what you want to say.
Jay, it's not nonsense, Jay. You're one of the best, right? How many people believe the theory? They told us they stole people, cheated the election. They said Joe Biden stole the election. How many people read around? The lady is getting fired, getting removed from her seat because she said they didn't steal the election.
You got a point there. I can't argue that.
We will believe in false.
I mean, I saw January 6th as them idiots storm the Capitol. So yes, I mean, you can't ever underestimate how vulnerable people are to lies and falling into cults and all that stuff, without a doubt. But this man clearly, the horse clearly cheated. It had 3 times the legal amount of that drug in his system. 3 times.
Let me say this. I'm agreeing with you. You should get your money back. But I know how society is, and I'm taking the general public consensus. They don't care. You're not getting no money back. That money's been spent. There's nothing gonna happen. People gonna say he urinated in the bathroom. Medina Spirit will run in the Preakness. Just watch.
No, I don't think they're gonna run it. It will be too much controversy for them now to run this horse. He basically screwed himself because the horse now is gonna have to retire. They can't put that horse in another race. It's too much scrutiny around it. Baffert already said today he's not going to the Preakness because the Preakness is Saturday. But he said he didn't want to go because he didn't want to be a distraction.
I don't think you could. I don't think they would be. I think with the legal issues that might be going around, I don't think that they could afford like that. Not the horse racing business. Nobody could afford to put that race in the horse.
So let me ask you this: if 45 was owning that horse, do you think that horse would show up?
If 45 on the horse,
happen, he will show up at the
45 on that horse would be running around the track with a jetpack on his saddle or something.
And he'll show up Saturday and run that race.
He probably would. He probably would.
So,
all right. So that was our jump ball question. Go ahead and type in your comments.
Got me fired up on that.
Man. You crazy.
Fired up.
We got a couple more topics we want to talk about. I want to bring our guy Greg in. Greg, jump on the screen here. We want to talk a little bit about the Bulls since you're wearing your Bulls hat. Go ahead and take yourself off mute, Greg. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bulls. They defeated Lance Irvin Pistons yesterday, and they are still technically alive in the playoff race. They own life support, but they are technically still eligible for the playoffs. Greg, your thoughts on the Bulls these final few games here?
Now, Greg, before you answer it, now you know you got me following you now, so think wise before you answer.
Your thoughts on these final few games for the Bulls?
I feel like they do have a chance, and I just saw Bradley Beal is going to be out for the Wizards for 2 games, so they can only hope that they drop, but I'm not sure that they have enough left where they'll beat Brooklyn twice because they're left on the schedule. And someone was saying earlier this weekend that if they lose, they go from 13% chance for the top 4 to over 33% chance for the top 4 with the lottery pick. So I feel like even though they playing well, maybe they still could try to get that draft pick and they can keep that top 4 pick and put it in for next year.
So, Greg, let me ask you a question. They have the Nets twice, they have the Bucks, and they have the Raptors coming up.
Right.
How many of those games do you see them honestly win?
1.
Where's the one?
Toronto.
Where's the one? Toronto.
I think they'll beat Toronto, but Brooklyn is still fighting for position, and Milwaukee, they're still jockeying for position in the conference. So they won't let the Bulls just roll over them. They won't lay down for them.
I mean, it's too much at stake. Like, I was glad you said that, right? It's a lot at stake in these last couple of games. If you had a couple of teams that really wasn't fighting for nothing, then maybe you probably have a chance to sneak something out. But like you said, though, I know Bradley Beal got hurt when he put up that 50 this weekend. He put up 50, Jay. That 50 was impressive, 50. But they have a small window, Gray. What do you think they need to do to get 3 out of 4 of those games, right? Because they probably have to get 3 out of 4.
Maybe they can play hard enough to beat Brooklyn because they're still not full strength. James Harden's still out. But the defense has gotten better over the last week, 2 weeks. And maybe they'll beat Toronto, but they have to hope that the Wizards or the Pacers drop. I know they got to catch the Wizards without Bradley Beal, but Westbrook's been playing well too, so he's been picking up a lot of slack these last couple games too.
You said
they're currently They're currently in 11th, and they got to get to 9th, and they're 3 games behind the Wizards, and they got to get past the Pacers too, because the Pacers are only half a game behind. Yeah. So you're asking them to leap basically two teams. That I just think they don't have enough games to do it, and we're asking them to do a miracle, which is basically beat Brooklyn twice,
Milwaukee once.
I don't think they can pull it off. And even if they do, you got to depend on them other teams losing.
Right, kind of like the Bears.
Yeah,
You have to hope for a lot to happen to still win. So it's probably better, I think, that they lose to get that top 4 pick still or a chance at it.
Who do you think out there, Greg, is worth a top 4 pick? Like
That's a good question.
What player do you think that they should try to get? Because my guess is like they maybe need an established veteran. Maybe you trade the pick.
Right.
I mean, where we all knew last year, like Zion. The year Zion came out, you was like, okay, we're gonna take this big horse right here, and then let him. You're gonna take Zion. That's that. Like I said, the horse is the guy that you know what he's going to get. Do you trade it, or do you maybe if you get it, you hold on to it? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think they should trade it because they do need more veteran presence because they're still young, but they've improved, but they still need a automatic score and they need more defenders on the team, veteran defenders.
What you think, Jay?
I think you should trade that pick. Also thinking all season you need to get Lonzo Ball because his contract, if I'm not mistaken, is up. They need a point guard.
Or Dennis Schrader.
Yeah. And
Kyle Lowry's free agent too.
I don't want him. I think Sean said it best this morning where they don't need a veteran point guard like a Chris Paul who's, in the final stages of his career, but they need someone who's getting ready to come into the prime who can grow with this team so that you will have a chemistry of this team going forward. And to me, especially since his daddy didn't have to shut up and sit down, I'm all for Lonzo Ball, coming here and running point. I think it'll make Zach a better player. I think you can bring Kobe White off the bench now as that six man to get you them buckets. And I would take that pick and I would find me. I may even package marketing with that pick and get me the best two-way player I can to complement Patrick Williams. And, put Patrick Williams out there along with Lonzo Ball, along with Zach, along with your boy Big Guy Vuk, and that'll be your strong starting 5. And now you cooking with gas.
I think kind of like you just mentioned, you and Greg both alluded to earlier. I mean, if you could get a younger point guard like Alonzo Ball, that might be the route to go. Like you said, Chris Paul, that's rare that you could get a player like Chris Paul, but CP3 up in age. And it's something to say, like when you go out to the warm weather at the end of your career, I think your body feels a little bit better.
Right.
Seriously, when you think about that. So maybe somebody like Alonzo Ball might help. Like somebody kind of like, I'm not saying Kemba Walker, but somebody who has the ages Kemba Walker, who's experienced like that. Because you want somebody that could grow with the team if they're going to keep Zach around. If you keep him Vuk, if you're going to build with those guys, I do think you guys are correct. And Jay, you correct saying they need somebody similar to the age group.
Dennis Schrader, they said Bulls are after him too from the Lakers.
If you're Dennis, you up in age, right? Dennis been around, Ivan, I'm not sure, maybe about 10 years, I think Dennis been in the league. Why would you leave LeBron and the Lakers with, if he's chasing a ring, because I don't think Dennis has won a championship. If I'm chasing a ring, why am I going to go to a team that's probably not going to win a ring in the next 5 to 7 years?
He's about this is his 7th, 8th year, I believe. Drafted in 2013.
Okay. So if you him, I don't know, unless they're gonna pay him an exorbitant amount of money. I don't know. What you think? What you think, Greg? Would you come?
I think he could come, but I don't think the Lakers can afford him. I think their salary cap is strapped. So that might be one of the reasons he might want to leave, because he'll probably demand max money.
Can he get the veteran exemption maybe if he want to? I'm just throwing it out there. Because in the end, you still, if you in the Bulls, we in the East, right? And James Harden is not going anywhere. Kevin Durant is not going anywhere. Kyrie Irvin not going anywhere. Can the guys you assemble on the Bulls, are they good enough to beat them in Boston with Tatum, Brown, Kemba Walker? You still got the Greek freak over there. The East is better. I think now it's starting to get credit like it should, right? And you got the Pelicans. If they hold on Lonzo Ball, I think the Pelicans, they got a decent team right now. So with that being said, though, I mean that's tough, but you got to get pieces where you could beat those teams because you fighting them for the Eastern Conference Championship.
But I was gonna say it just goes back to what they were saying during the game. You have to win the games that count at the beginning of the season. So now at the end of the season, you didn't waste a lot of games, a lot of bad losses. Now it's coming back to haunt them.
Mm-hmm. I think Zach being hurt for a couple of games, I think that might have helped hurt them too. And then when they picked up Vuk in the trade, they didn't play well for the first 7, 8, 9 games.
True.
And even maybe a little bit more of that after the trade. They kind of struggled out the gate. So I think those was the telltale signs right there that got them in the situation that they in. But those 4 games, it's tough.
The other thing too, Lance, I think we have to remember this was Billy Donovan's first season
Great
as
point.
head coach.
Great
and it's going to take these guys a while to gel. I think they have the talent there. I think they're going to be better next year just because they would have played together under his system. So, I don't discount that they're such a young team and they're just going to improve organically. Just naturally, they're just going to improve. But I still think they need a real point guard. They don't have a point guard on this team that can really get everyone involved and everyone on the same page. So that's kind of, how I see that. So, Greg, thanks a lot, man, for jumping in. We got other topics we want to get to right before we get out of here.
Hey, Jay, you said something great about coaching, because it is a process, and it's not an overnight fix. Sometimes I look at people, because everybody think they can coach. I'm like, you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. You don't have a clue what's going on. A year, 2 years, if you're trying to build a team and try to get it right, it takes time. But everybody think they can coach, and a lot of people, they don't have a clue. But go ahead.
Coaching ain't easy on any level. I didn't do it on nearly as high as the level as you did, but it ain't easy, And I want to say something a little bit just about. I want to say this is my personal thoughts. Matter of fact, Ivan, do me a favor, take Lance off the screen real quick. There's a lot of stuff going on in the stands at these travel sporting events involving parents and other parents and parents against officials and parents against. Y'all need to stop with some of this stuff that's going on. We had people. There was a parent who got mad that his kid got double teched out the game by the ref, and he threw a water bottle. He was trying to throw it at the ref, but he hit a parent on the other team. And so then that parent was like, man, you just hit me with a damn water bottle. He went out there. Now you got a fight going on. And we're seeing this in all sports right now. Soccer is the worst, but it's happening in hockey, basketball, little league baseball. 6 and 7-year-olds, and these parents out here acting a fool. I know a lot of you got kids that play in these youth leagues. Y'all need to relax and let the kid play. All right, chances are they ain't going pro no way. So I don't know acting a damn fool. But everybody relax at these youth sport events, man. It was really making adults look bad, and the kids are embarrassed, and it's going on more. I don't know if it's because we're coming out of the pandemic, so everybody just happy to be out. I don't know what's going on, but there have been a bunch of news reports going on about this. So I just need to say this to everybody out there. Calm down when you at your kid's sporting event. It is not that serious when you need to be going to jail, about to be publicly humiliated because you all over the media because you out here fighting at a 7-year-old game. That's just my personal thoughts. I need to put that out there. All right, Lance, you can come back on. We can talk about other topics here, but I just need to say that. Real quickly, our good friends at the Chicago Red Stars, that's our National Women Soccer League team. They announced last week a new ownership group. It's very diverse, and we are going to have a member of the new ownership group on our show next week.
Oh, wow.
But 2 of the big names that you should know, one is Josh Dixon. He's a brother on the United States gymnastics team. Who a lot of people know. And the other guy is this guy. That's former Chicago Bears defenseman Israel Adonijay. He is also now one of the part owners of the Chicago Red Stars. So we're trying to get both Israel and Josh on next week. I know we're going to have one of them on. Not sure which one, but we're going to have at least one of them. We're trying to get both of them. So if we can get Israel and Josh, that's going to make for a great show. Israel can talk about football, and Josh can talk about men's gymnastics and what we can expect from Team USA in the upcoming Olympics. But just wanted to put that out there. And congratulations to the Chicago Red Stars for embracing diversity and getting a whole bunch of new co-owners in and helping to promote the women's soccer team here in Chicago.
What's up with our girl, Sarah Gordon?
Sarah's doing well. The team is getting ready to start their regular season, I believe, this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. They played in a Challenge Cup. Didn't get any wins, had a couple of ties. You know, soccer is crazy with that stuff. But, you know, she's doing pretty well. And we're going to get out there to a game this year. We definitely want to do that. So we are going to get out there to a game at some point this year. But just, again, congratulations to the Chicago Red Stars and what they're doing. And let's not forget,
May 16th, Jason, is their first game.
May 16th is the first game, May 16th. And the Sky start May 15th.
Yep.
Their game is on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Chicago Sky. So good luck to Coach James. And we're going to have some Sky players on the show here coming up pretty soon. But the Sky are starting their season on Saturday. The Red Stars are starting their season on Sunday. And we cannot end this show without giving a very hearty congratulations to our family member, because if we don't, we're dead. So congratulations to your sister-in-law and my cousin, Coach Corey Irvin, who was named an assistant coach for the University of Illinois women's basketball team. Congratulations, cousin Corey. We know you are going to do very well down there after spending 2 years as a head coach at St. Xavier University here in Chicago. Corey got a call, and you and I know how long she's wanted to get into the D1 college ranks in coaching, and she's finally getting the opportunity.
You know this her second go around. She was at, with Doug Bruno for a year.
Right.
Yeah, she's coming back, but she did a great job in high school. She wanted to get back into Division I. But she's a classic example of where you are, do the best job you can do. And Corey is modest. She's a really good coach. And we looking for great things for Coach Corey Irvin. So shout out to my sister-in-law and your cousin Corey Irvin. Corey, we need to get you back on the show now.
I know. Now she gonna be. Don't be trying to big time us now.
Jason
Corey.
gonna call you. Jason gonna call you.
We want you back on the show. Don't be trying to big time us now. Now that you at the Big Ten school, you know, we want you on the show. Shoot. So congratulations to you. I know U of I is still continuing their search as well for their men's program. They've had a lot of turnover in the coaches ranks down there, and that's the state, the flagship school down there for the state. So a lot of changes going on in college basketball here in Illinois, and we're just so happy for Corey and to see her get the position. So, Cuz, I think that's a wrap for this show. What you think?
Man, it's a wrap. It's a great show. Shout out to Ronald Chin Coleman. Hey, Chin, you still haven't been on the show yet. You got to come on the show. I'm calling you out publicly. Ronald Chin Coleman.
Chin
get at me.
Chin, another one big time at us. Now he's down at the University of Kentucky, man. We're going to get all these people trying to big time us, man.
Get at me, Chino.
We know where their family live.
Man, Jay, we had a great show, man. We appreciate everybody watching us and supporting us. Let's have a great week.
Big show next week. Get ready to stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter at What's Up Cuz. Follow us on Twitter at What's Up Cuz. We got a lot of stuff coming up. And remember, we prepping for our 1 year anniversary show in July. That was going to be a doozy.
Ooh-wee. Let's get it.
All right, for my cousin Lance Irvin, for our producer Ivan Vargas, our producer in absentia Maya Kai, our intern Greg Robbins, I'm Jason Palmer. We will see you all next week, same time, same place on What's Up Cuz. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, we will march on till victory. We will march on till victory. Let us march on.